Hello guys, I am Sandesh Saxena and I'm sorry for the technical trouble. Because of that we were just like restarting our session today. So let's get back to the topic straight away. So here we are discussing about the recent advancement in construction and the opportunities in civil engineering. So construction is the topic which is very vast. Here the things are very wide. The perspective is totally wide because people those are involved in it they are having different sort of perceptions, different sort of work, different sort of backgrounds. So yes, the things are so diverse to manage it. Still we are working on it and we are having some sort of advancement. So when we were talking about some sort of say advancement or how we started the things and then how actually we converted into some sort of technology, how we transformed some sort of tool, technique, some equipments to a technology, and we are crossing the limits to the sky. So the sky is the only limit nowadays. So we will discuss this transformation today, okay, or we will tell you what are the advancement, what are the real enhancement we did in the segment of construction. So guys, let's start. So I'll just brief what I'll discuss today or on the topics. So it will include some sort of methods of constructions, selection of design parameters, selection of materials, then maybe the project drafting and building information modeling, some sort of project management information system, traditional construction, 3D printing, and some intelligent gadgets that is being used in the construction. So that we are discussing today in this segment. So how the things will go on, I'm trying to connect with my presentation also. So maybe we can use that for the more graphics. So let me just connect to the presentation. See, okay, so let's start then, and maybe we can club it later on at the later stages. So let me introduce myself first and then we will move to the next segment. So I am Sandesh Saxena. I'm chartered civil engineer. I have done my masters from Kingston University London in construction project management. I'm taking care of some sort of consultancies, some sort of scheduling work, and I'm appointed as an assistant professor in Department of Civil Engineering in Nirvan University, Jaipur. So guys, let's start the today's session, that how the things are going on. So firstly, I think we should discuss about the methods of the construction. So guys, previously we are doing, or traditionally we are constructing our houses, bridges, buildings, every sort of segment with the approach known as in situ construction. What does it mean? In situ construction is an approach in which all the raw materials is gathered on the site and then they are integrated with the help of human resource, tools, techniques in such a way that it contributes our building. So the fashion, the thing which we are following from a long time period, that is basically your in situ construction. So here raw materials has been stored nearby the site. So that also provides us some sort of challenges. What sort of challenges they are? They are like traffic congestions. Traffic congestions, that means, for example, let's suppose we are having a plot in which we are doing a construction of a simple house, say a villa which is having occupancy of 8 to 10 people. So when we are constructing it, so maybe we need some sort of materials like brick, reinforcement, concrete and all that. So if we put it adjacent to our site, so if it is the corner plot, then definitely it will obstruct the road conditions, the road network. So these are the challenges which we are having in traditional approach of construction. Secondly, the wastage of material. Wastage of material is the second segment which we need to discuss, because we are using resources, natural resources in construction. So when we are using it without any limits, or because our agenda is to get our house done, okay, to construct our house, but due to the normal approaches we have seen a huge amount of waste. So that is not means like acceptable, or that is not good in for the coming times. So what we can do, so we will discuss definitely on that also. Long time periods, the duration of construction of a house is almost 8 to 10 months, the minimum of 8 to 10 months. It includes all sort of the work from foundation till the terrace and painting and all that, finishing and painting also. So it is contributing around 8 to 10 months nowadays. So that is the thing. Maybe we have some sort of technologies which can reduce the time. Yes, we are having few of them and we will discuss. Again, one more thing in this method, the in situ construction or the traditional method of construction is like when the human resource is very high at certain position or at certain stage, then definitely they can respond, or their point of observation, or you can say the perception could be different. So it can cause some sort of delays and disputes. So these are some challenges which we are having in the method of construction, the traditional construction. But nowadays we are having huge number of options for our construction. Like what? The precast construction. So you might have seen the pre-tensioning or post-tensioning on the sites. Usually it's like every state we are having some sort of metro construction going on. So you might have seen the capitals. Okay, so there pre-tensioning, post-tensioning is being used. So that actually allows you to manufacture the things somewhere away from your site. There you are having the proper space. You can manage the things like the proper curing time, temperature and all that, and then you can come up with the transport it to the site, and then you can install it. So that sort of technique we have used in all sort of infra projects, like the metro projects, like bridge, like flyovers, in railways also we have used that. So that is one of the approach. But the same approach is being used in the buildings also, in the residential building also. And how it could be? We categorize this particular situation into pre-engineered building. So if we are using the steel based means like the structure which is having steel as a main component, then we will call as the pre-engineered building. And secondly, when concrete is the major part in the construction, then we are calling it modular housing. So what does it mean? Modular housing is basically, you can say that it's a precast or you can say pre-constructed wall segment, and that segment also includes walls, doors, your windows, openings, all sort of openings in it. So it's already been prepared in such a way that you can unwrap the component at your site and you just need to install it. So that is one of the very important thing which we are having nowadays, or we can say that this is the enhancement in construction. So even the government is very much active nowadays, and they are proposed lighthouse technique. So that is one of which like derivatives of all these technology. So in precast thing, when you are constructing, you are casting, you are molding your building components, your construction components at some other places like the casting yard, there what you can do, there you can do the casting and all thing in the best conditions. Like you can provide some sort of artificial temperature, artificial say all sort of conditions like that is been best for the particular product. So if you are using that approach for precasting, then in that condition 100% you will achieve good quality parameters in it. 100% you will achieve good quality in it. So that is the thing. Secondly, it also reduces pollution, because when you are doing the construction at site, what normally we are doing, so in that case the pollution is also there. We have noise pollution, we have air pollution, because for example, if you are doing some sort of say slab casting, so in that activity you use your mixer. So in that situation, your when you put cement in the mixture, so in that situation, or some say fine aggregate into the mixture, so in that situation the things goes maybe wrong, and then it can cause some sort of air pollution. People inhale the cement content that is toxic, or they will have some sort of diseases, respiratory diseases. So air pollution is in this way. When concrete is being put on the land, for example, so you have some sort of extra concrete, so that if it is not managed well, in that situation it will also cause some sort of earth pollution, because concrete is having the alkaline nature. Okay, so that is the thing. Sometimes people says that a modular housing and pre-engineered buildings, so that is good for listening, but when we implement it, it will cost more. So gentlemen, I'll just say that these are the practices. So when you are going for a single modular house or single pre-engineered building, then definitely it will be costly for you. But when we will follow these types of say technologies, when we implement it in measure, then in that situation it will become economic. Okay, so that is like the same principle of production of any good. So that is the thing. So in that situation you will have a better product, your construction period time will reduce. So where for example, if we have imagined that 8 months was the time for our say for our construction of the building, but it can reduce it to up to 4 months, 3 months, or even nowadays it's like 2 or 3 months, because now the point is where you saved your time. So I can say when you are, because 90% of the construction is being done with the help of concrete in RCC structure in India. So in that scenario, what I can say that the curing period, which is advised to have around 28 days. So that for that particular period, if you are running parallel activity, then it is fine. Else your structure is being placed without any activity. So that could be the thing. So for example, if you are going for the 3-story building, so there were 3 stages when you will need to have a halt of around 28 days if you are doing the good practice. But it is like if the things are already been cured, and that is having the all sort of durability and strength parameters if they are following. So in that situation, in that condition, what we can do is like we are having the good product and then we are implementing it in such a way. So that sort of technology can help us to get to achieve the good parameters, quality parameters also. Pollution is less and it is sustainable because it is eco-friendly. And at the end of the day, when your house is being divided into different components, so if in some condition, usually we call as the maintenance period. So if in maintenance period one of your component fails, so you can replace it. So that sort of flexibility is available. It depends which organization is working for you and how flexibility you have chosen for your project. So that is one of the things. So the lighthouse project, which has been coined by the government nowadays, it's one of the integration of all these techniques together. Here we have advancement if we are talking about in construction. So the very common thing which I will discuss is the drafting. Like for engineering drawing, for creating the plans, we have started with the manual drafting. So we have a huge cardboard, then we have our drafter and drawing sheets, and then we were doing the drafting with the help of pencils. So the things was so complex, but as the time passes, as we got the computer and all sort of technical equipments, then what we did, we actually started using CAD, the computer aided drafting. So the AutoCAD or other CAD softwares is basically been used for your drafting. So that was the 2D drafting. As the time passes, as we enhanced our IT skills, then we actually upgraded it to 3D modeling. So majority of the companies are now using CAD 2D plus 3D. So in 2D, the structural drawings and all sort of design works, drafting works, and in 3D you can see or you can visualize the things as you want. Okay, so that is the situation. Guys, nowadays we are having one more advancement, and now all sort of technology, the drafting is being integrated with information, the flow of information, and that is particularly known as building information modeling, BIM. Yes. So in BIM, what we are doing, we are going in up to 5 segments, like all the segments of the XYZ axis plus time and resources. So we artificially put some sort of an advancement in the 3D models with using some sort of softwares. There are various softwares that is being used in it, like Revit and other like BIM acceptable softwares. Tekla is providing the softwares also. So you can use that also for your work. And the main point of using that building information modeling is, like, at every point in your construction project life cycle, you are able to get the on-time positioning or on-time events, or you can say on-time activities. They are reporting at particular point of space, okay, or you can say at particular point of time. You can get the whole information about that particular activity in just few minutes. So yes, so that is basically building information modeling. So here modeling is there, so you can work on it, you can get the data, and you can find the things as per your convenience. So BIM is itself a good topic, itself a big topic which need to be discussed in detail. But yeah, this is the journey, or you can say advancement of a drafter, or you can say a component of your construction, that is drafting. So that's how we have developed our skills on, say, this is the journey all about, we are discussing all about. So drafting, we started with the manual drafting, then we used some sort of softwares like with the help of computer aided drafting. Then we have converted it into the 3D. We have touched one more dimension, and then we are now at the position of BIM, that is building information modeling. So in BIM, basically all types of experts are working together. Here you will find civil engineer, your mechanical, electrical, architect. So all of them are working together. It's a collaborative approach. Collaboratively they are working, and they are giving the best result with using that sort of software, guys. So that was the journey of say the drafting positioning. So now I think we should discuss something about the designer aspects. So we have started doing drawings, or our engineers, senior engineers and sisters have started with working on working stress method of design. So their stability is the thing which is having the more concern. After rectification of something, or you can say after optimizing this technique, working stress design, we have come up with limit state, because in working stress method you are basically putting the huge amount of reinforcement in it. So basically, you are designing some sort of over reinforced structure. So when we have come to know about the flexible, or you can say some sort of properties of the reinforcement, the tension properties of the reinforcement, then we have redefined the design methodology and we have come up with the limit state of design. So there we actually design some sort of under reinforced structure, so that whenever the structure fails, so first we get the warning because of the because the tension zone fails first. So that's the thing. So you got actually the warning before the failure, and then you actually make your structure safe. So in limit state design, you are having stability as well as durability also, and we have used some sort of admixture additives, and we have enhanced some sort of design methodology. So there we are getting some sort of flexibility in particularly design. So we have actually the safety factor also, usually we will take 1.5. so that sort of thing we have evaluate. It's like from working stress to limit state. But nowadays we are having one more dimension to it, that is basically the sustainable design. So nowadays the industry is demanding limit state design with having some sort of sustainable design parameters in it, because sustainability is the demand of 2021 or the future. Because here we just need to think about the stability, we need to think about the economics, we need to think about your financial, that is the all sort of the social aspect and environmental aspects. So in sustainability, what is sustainability? Sustainability is basically, when I will put a Venn diagram and I am having the three segments. The first is the social, second is your financial, or third is your environmental. So the A union, B union, C, the union of all these three parameters is basically your sustainability. It has something about economics, it has something about your social, and it has something about your environment. So here we need to think about these things. Many design many methodology has been adopted in limit state method of design. So it's like limit state method of design plus some sort of sustainable designs. Like we are using some sort of factors during design which can help you in risk management, which can help you in some sort of fire and safety management, earthquake, seismic management. So that sort of considerations we are using to get into this sustainable segment of the design. So that is one of them. So that is the journey of, you can say the selection of design parameters or the designers. Rest the things are going on as we were doing back, but the things has been changed. Like previously we were doing some sort of mathematical calculation on drawing sheets or on our notebook, but nowadays we are using the laptop, desktops and the smart devices for it. So guys, this is the advancement in basically your say design methodology or the thing. So now what are the advancement we have in your material selection? So materials is also the very important topic in the process of construction, because it actually defines the service period of your project. Like for example, if you are designing a house, that is, or a shelter which need to be there for 1 or 2 years, or a shelter which we call house that could be needed for at least one generation, so at least around 80 years. Okay, or something you demands to be having some sort of community structure, okay, some sort of social structure which should stand years and years. So in these three segments you are having different types of requirements, different types of your requirement of materials and different types of tools and techniques. So that is the part of it. So how we have you can say that how we will actually started and now where we are at. So let's discuss the first segment, that is the cement. So cement is the the main component which we use in construction. So cement is basically the second material on the earth which has been used and in very wide aspect, that is just next to the water. So on the whole earth, the second most usable construction material is cement after water. So cement, like how the cement is started, so we have the whole literature around behind it, but in industry we were actually using the ordinary Portland cement. That has been started initially, it was having the 33 grade, then 43 and 53. So 33 grade was just vanished, then we actually working on 43 grade of some OPC cement and 53 grade of OPC cement. So as per the design, as per the requirement of the engineers, we actually have chosen the OPC cement. So ordinary Portland cement was the first step for in this journey. Then in last decade, we have used a variety of admixtures, variety of things in it, along with your ordinary Portland cement. So that is become some sort of, you can say, OPC plus some sort of admixtures. So that was the thing to increase some sort of, you can say, the performance of the cement and all. But now we are having the most widely used cementing product is your PPC, that is Pozzanellic Portland cement. So what is PPC? PPC is like some segment of cement in it, ordinary Portland cement, plus some sort of Pozzanals. So Pozzanals could be your fly ash or it could be your GGBS, the blast furnace slag. So slag and fly ash is being used as a some sort of like additional material in the cement. So that is also increasing the strength of the cement. So the chemistry behind this is actually contributing, or it has been derived from some sort of polymeric cements that is that has been adopted in some countries like US, and we are working on it to develop our polymeric cements like geopolymer and all. So that is the thing which we need to discuss. So the journey started with the OPC 33, then we have modified it to OPC 43, 53, and then we modified it with OPC 43, 53 plus some sort of admixture, and now we are having the PPC. PPC. So one more thing which I need to discuss is like when we are doing some sort of say design, mixed design. So I have seen that many people are taking the strength of the PPC cement is 33 MPa, because the code says that it should have at least 33 MPa of the strength. But the companies, those are working in the industry, those are the cement manufacturers, they are taken this cement to some higher strength. Like for example, if I'll take some sort of brand names, then like Ultratech cement is providing around say 55 MPa of the strength. It's like in its PPC cement at 28 days. Ambuja cement is also having that sort of nearby standards. Wonder cement is also having that sort of standards. So they are giving you PPC cement, and the strength parameters are around 50, 55 like that MPa in terms of MPa. So my suggestion is for the mixed designers or the consultants, those are watching this particular webinar. So it's like you should not always take 33 MPa for during your mixed design as the strength of the cement. You should always check the detailed sheet that is being provided by every lot of cement. So when you are getting the cement on your site, so definitely you can ask for the sheet, okay, the technical sheet, the TS we usually call. So technical sheet will provide you that what is the strength that cement is achieving at 28 days or at particular point of time. So according to them, you should basically design your concrete mix. Okay, so that is the thing which I need to discuss here. Well, in terms of masonry, we also have enhanced our technology. Like previously or initially, we are having the stone masonry as the majorly used process for constructing of houses and bridges and all that. But then, as per the time passes, we come up with the refractories, and then we have the bricks, and now the time is like that we are using some sort of blocks as a major product, or you can say the block masonry is being adopted by the industry. So blocks could be the concrete blocks, or it could be you can say AAC blocks. So that sort of blocks are being used for the construction purpose, and the masonry is known as the block masonry. How the things are? Okay, so how the things are we can discuss the opportunities and all that. Okay, so let's discuss few more things, and then we will discuss few opportunities in civil engineering and the other aspects like what our university is providing and all. So let's talking about the materials. So we are having one more thing is like local and local for vocal. So that is the the words that has been coined again and again by the government, by the local people also. So when we are going with the local sort of materials in our design or local materials, then what we are having? The first thing is effective supply chain. Effective supply chain is like you have, for example, if that particular material which you are using is locally available, then definitely you won't have any sort of constraint when it comes to the supply chain management. Okay, when you are talking about the local material, then the workforce available there, the workers or the laborers present there are usually skilled for that particular type of material. For example, if you are living nearby Kishangarh or in Ajmer district, so there that marble is available. So the labor those are present nearby is highly skilled in the use of the marble, and the marble is a locally available product, so that is available there. So means like it will also can reduce the transportation cost because it's locally available, so you can use that. And again, if you use the local products, then in that segment you are generating some sort of employability in that particular segment. So in selection of material, you need to work on that also. Guys, when we are talking about the opportunities in civil engineering, it itself is it's like a very wide and big thing. Okay, opportunities in civil engineering is being divided into, you can say, I think we should divide it into two types of opportunity. Like first is the national and second is the international. So the national opportunity includes all sort of government sector, PSUs and all that, and international segment is having like you can work in the MNCs, then you can work in some sort of research and development organizations, some sort of training consultancy that you can do in the international platform. You also have some sort of research opportunities in India also. So now research is basically not just having the scope of say teaching and academics. It actually goes beyond, because maximum organizations are having their own research and development cells. So there even you can work. So the masters and PhDs are very much get importance nowadays. So that could be the thing. In private sector, you are having the contractors, subcontractors, some sort of MNCs, project management consultancies. So there you can work. You should also explore the possibility of being skilled. So that actually comes when you join some sort of programs, like for example one university is providing say PhDs are open now. So in research and development field, if you are doing if you are going good, if you are feeling comfortable, then you can join our PhD program also. So for that, last date of submission of online application is 12th of March, and there will be an entrance exam that will held on around 14th March. So whomsoever will appear in this exam, and if they got selected, so definitely they will get the opportunity to work with the best team at best university, and with the international touch. So that is the thing. There you can also join. So PhD programs are open in Nirvana University, and you can work or you can apply over there on the website. So website, you can find it on our Facebook page also. So that is the thing. So let's move ahead with some sort of other enhancements which we did in the construction, is like project management information system. Like information is need to be flow, because we are having a multi-level system. Okay, so project management information system, I think you might have just remembering some sort of Gantt chart that has been present at your site. So Gantt chart could be the product of it. So basically it is a schedule. So in PIMS, like if I'll give some examples, then Microsoft Project is the software which is providing you the things, and Oracle Primavera P6 is also a software which is providing you the like the atmosphere. There you can work, you can schedule, and you can print your, or you can make your Gantt charts. So scheduling is basically a process in which you are integrating all your resources together, like your human resource, time resource, and the few more like budget, cost, and all those things. So here you can analyze your risk and how your project will go on. Tracking, monitoring, and control are the three components which usually we have, or which usually we do when we are talking about the project management. So what is tracking? Is like whatever we have planned is been going in that way or not. So if we are going as per the plan, then that is definitely fine. And if it is not, then what are the possibilities to come up with a solution that we should not have any sort of delay? So that things we can do. So tracking is basically scaling the delay or work in advance. So that is the tracking. Monitoring is something, what are the influences, what are the possibilities, or what are the things which is affecting your project and how that is affecting. So in tracking you can get the scale, in monitoring you can get the things like how the things will go on. Then the control on the behalf of your tracking and monitoring reports, you can put some sort of things in it, like for example you can run some sort of short-term programs to cover up your progress and all that. So that is basically control. So in this segment we are having a schedule, we can create some sort of budgeting, we can create some sort of resource management things and all that. So that is the part of your project management information system. So we can discuss some sort of coming opportunities, or like where we are up till now in terms of construction. So nowadays we are having a very important approach of construction, or we can say a revolutionary technology that is being used, and that is practical possible now. Previously it was a part of research only, but now onwards, or say at from some few months back, good companies are make that possible in India also. So that technology is your 3D printing of the houses, like how you can print the house. So it is not that easy that you just press Control P and just print the houses. Yeah, it needs some sort of machine learning in it, some sort of artificial intelligence, and some sort of your advanced techniques. The principle behind 3D printing is, the layer by layer approach. So on which your particular machine is putting layer by layer the things, and on that you can put some sort of shelter or some sort of the slab or something like that. So that is one of them. So 3D printing is the future of construction. So there, yeah, of course the people are saying that it will reduce the it will create some sort of unemployment and all that. So that could be the thing, but the point is we are having the best technology of the time, that is the 3D printing. So that has been possible. Various organizations are working towards it. Even IIT Gandhinagar is having proper programs on it. They are having the proper lab for 3D printing. Some sort of company, I think L&T is also working on the 3D printing of houses, and they have declared a few months back that the first 3D house, or say in their job profile they have done. So that is really great. So in upcoming times we will having some sort of 3D printing in the housing segments. So that is the one of the enhancement, the major enhancement with we are having nowadays. So if I'll generalize what are the enhancement we did. So the first is your PMIS, Project Management Information System. So here Primavera MSP we are using. So Primavera is the software which we are using in the great extent. Then the second is your building information modeling. So the BIM is the future of construction, in which you are integrating all your dimensions, all your techniques, all like in particular one segment, and then you are getting the all on time real positions of the things. So that could be one of that. Thirdly, we are having artificial intelligence in your project, like this what we have discussed just now. It's your 3D printing. 3D printing is revolutionary upcoming technology. That technology is proved, but definitely it will take time to accept it by the industry. So that's why I'm calling it as a upcoming technology. So that is one of them. And one more thing in which when we are involved is like intelligent gadgets in construction. So what sort of intelligent gadgets we are using? The first thing is your virtual reality technologies. So that is basically some sort of VRs. Okay, so in which a designer or an architect can wear that visual aid, that is your VR, the virtual reality, and then he or she can get the artificially and get the things about the project, like how it looks like and how the things are going on, where we have the fault, and so it will enables the very good functions. It actually supposed fast and precise simulation of architectural or structural changes, automatic measurements, and enhance design improvements. For example, just you can download an app known as Google Lens, and when you will put that app in particular product, so that app actually gives you some sort of the cost and location and all that sort of thing. So the same technology we are using in BIM or in construction also with the help of this VR gadgets. We are also using some sort of drones for monitoring purposes, and some of the drones has been used for providing a means of transport in the some sort of sites where the things are very crucial when you are working in some sort of heavy jungle or some sort of hydraulic sites. So in that situations, the drones can be used as a very good means of transport for it. We are also having IoT, that is the Internet of Things. So smart machinery can perform repeated tasks and maintain itself, boosting efficiency and productivity and reducing carbon footprints. So in this era, it's like we need to think about carbon footprints also. We need to think about sustainable development. So in that segment, IoT can help you a lot. So basically, IoT is Internet of Things. What, for example, what we are using nowadays on site is like, we all have that GPS devices, your mobile phones, the smart gadgets. That's all been interconnected. The organizational means of transport, the trucks, trolleys, they are also equipped with the GPS systems. So you actually knows the on-time progress or on-time existence of particular means of transport. For example, you need some sort of delivery of cement in your at your site, so you can track the lorry in which the cement, that means like the bulk cement is coming. So according to the real-time positioning, you can define your activities and you can manage the things. So IoT is also helping a lot. Some sort of smart cameras, some sort of smart machines, that is also helping you a lot when you need to manage a diversity of human resource and the huge and wide scope of work. You are also having smart boots and smart helmets. There is a company known as Simbabun that is based in Japan. So actually they have come up with the idea of having the smart helmets and boots. So they are using it. So what smart helmet actually gives? A smart helmet is also having some sort of GPS tracker in it. So their project managers or their management teams can get the real location of that particular person, the on-time location. So where he is working, how much manpower is working at particular point of space or something like that. Even that helmet is being equipped with the like technology what we are using is smart bands. So there the particular workers heartbeats can be measured. So if the person is not comfortable for work, that even its physical conditions or its medical conditions can be examined by some sort of mobile apps, and then that the thing is been transferred to the site manager, so that it can help them to maintain good health and safety on the site, at the site. So same way they are having some sort of boots also. So the boots are equipped with some sort of a sensor which actually alerts the person of some sort of emergency situations, and it is having all sort of the things which need to be done. It could also have GPS and the other stuff, so that the manager can help the things in the proper manner. They can manage and they can help. So these are the things which we have in terms of construction, the enhancement we can have. So there is a variety in the field of construction, because construction is basically a domain in which very diverse people are working. The variety is too much high. Okay, the things which we are discussed today is itself very wide. So it have a very good you can say the journey of enhancement and all that. So guys, due to some technical issue we have started late, but I think we should respect the time. So I'll just finish it up today, and our next webinar will be there on the next Saturday. Everything will be notified on the page. So thank you and have a nice day.